Good morning, Martin in the Philippines, and we're here in Real Talk Lifeline. So I'm joining the 6 a.m. club. Uh, I'm just seeing a friend here who, let me switch the cam. He is on live too, Chris Benson. So shout out to that guy who he, I guess, inspired or motivated me to go live now and put in the work. So. Challenge of the day. Let's do it. Challenge of the day: pandemic, relationships, how I view myself. So, people watching the live or the replay, feel free to comment down below if ever you do have personal experience of yourself, or maybe you witnessed through a friend, someone close to you, on how you overcame or you went through this challenge of going through the pandemic, relationships, and how I view myself. So what all I can do is to just share my experience. If you find it useful, you could use it. If not, feel free to let it go. So pandemic, I'll start with it one by one. So right now it's September 2, 2022. So it's been 2 years since the COVID pandemic hit back in March 2020. So when it comes to relationships and how I view myself, I'll relate it to pandemic. So the pandemic, how I see, because I learned this more recently, it's this idea, or it's this thing called shadow work. So the pandemic, it actually, for some people, or maybe a lot, it actually amplified or showed us even more how we view ourselves. For example, in my case, if work gets tough, and I was having very tough years up to now, even prior to the pandemic actually, 2019 and then 2021 to now, it shows us even more that dark side of us, or like our greatest challenges. Relationships, so it doesn't necessarily mean relationship also with another person. So let's say in 2014 I went through a 9-year relationship that ended. Ever since then until now, what it really showed about my shadow or dark side is my relationship also with myself. Meaning, how can I stand, how can I be with myself on my own? Also, it interrelates to how we interact or treat other people as well. So in the more recent years, switching a different example of relationship with my family, for example, because over the pandemic or the past few years, I also took some training. This was back in 2019, so this is with LifeKite with Coach Bam Santiago. And then from there, it was processing. So it was more of like my emotional processing and healing, having that safe space to really get more clarity or process what I was going through or what I am going through. Realizing other people are also going through their own shit in life. And then, up to now, some people think it's just like magic, like, hey, everything's okay, you're okay now. Not really. Some of the closest people to me, I still can't have a real conversation with to this day. And what I decided was, again, going back to the challenge of the day, pandemic, relationships, how I view myself, I just chose to start working on myself in the meantime. And then what happens there is, the more I work on myself, so I went through that training, that process, I don't know if you'd believe me, so some of you might comment, if it's the same for you. Suddenly, people started having conversations or were opening up to me. So for example, like my brother, we started having conversations that were more open. When my sister and her husband visited from abroad, that also happened. And then conversations with my dad. Uh, Again, this is very hard. Just my personal example, we didn't really talk growing up. So in the more recent years, he's starting to open up more. And my dad's already 67, 68 years old. So it really took a long amount of time. Now, I'm just very grateful because there's some other people, their father is gone already, and they don't have that chance. Or they just gotta find some resolution within themselves. Right? So, I'll wrap it up on that. Pandemic, relationships, how I view myself. So what worked for me was I just started working on myself, how I viewed myself. When I attended my seminars or trainings, I literally said, I'm a worthless piece of shit. And some people can attest to that, those who were in that seminar. The good thing about it is it can change. So the way we view ourselves, the way we think, or our belief of ourselves, it can change. So another, like, why did I show that in the start? Let's see if he's still there. He is still there. So I'm gonna flip it over to Chris. He's still doing his live. So again, it was since 6 a.m. So his view or his example encouraged me to do this. And some people, they help us see a reflection of ourselves, a better version or a best version of ourselves. And then that will ripple effect onto our relationships. So it starts with our relationship with ourselves, and then it, as within, so without, meaning our outer world is a reflection of our inner world, and then it translates into our relationships with other people or the people around us. So the pandemic, this is just my view, is actually a good thing in my case because it amplifies that dark side. So I'll just wrap it up with this. Going through depression since 2014, my own personal, it's my own personal thing I'm going through in life. The pandemic actually felt more peaceful for me. It's like the pace of life slowed down. It allowed me more to reflect, to stop comparing myself, my career, my life with other people. That was a good thing I learned from depression. It kind of taught me to embrace or to accept death. So I mean that in a good way. It's kind of scary, kind of dark, but I mean it in a good way. And then my view of myself is actually still in progress or in the process of transformation. So if you like that, again, comment, please share your own experiences, what helped or what works for you. If you like this one, but you want to go a little deeper, meaning you want more, you want to share your greatest challenge, similar, or maybe it's something different, I will listen to you. Comment, deep dive down below. I will listen to you first. If you want to take it to the next level, I could share some ideas, feedback, anything that could help you get unstuck. So thank you. I love you. And I will see you next time.